Rial from Mount Bethel Christian Academy to lead us in our opening prayer. He's also the captain of the robotics team, which Commissioner Ott will talk about later. And then we have the two Boy Scout troops, Boy Scout Troop 173 and Boy Scout Troop 200 will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if those scouts will come up to the stand also. Yep, all 400 of you, come on up. And those who are willing and able, please stand.
Jake.
Okay, Patrick.
Let us pray. Dear God, thank you for the wonderful opportunity for us to be together and celebrate the accomplishments of our community today. May our time be filled with friendship, encouragement, and joy. We ask that you strengthen us, restore us, and inspire us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, gents.
Robotics first.
All right, so we have a number of presentations tonight, and I'm going to let Commissioner Ott make the first one for the Mount Bethel Christian Academy robotics team.
All right, guys and girls, come on up here. You got to put the star of the show up front and center. And the teachers and the principal, you all get to come up too. All right, so I believe you're the captain here? Ish. Captain-ish. All right, so they're going to demonstrate their robot here. The name of the team is Batteries Not Included. You can tell everybody what it does.
All right, so we're participants in FIRST Robotics. So how that works is every single year, first the company releases a new challenge. So basically the entire point of our competition is just build a robot that can do this singular challenge that they present to you at the beginning of the year. Errors. We'll get it working. But
Stand by.
yeah, so this year the challenge is basically it's stacking blocks. It's called Skystone, and you're on an alliance with two robots, and you got to compete against robots on the other side of the field that are two other robots on the other side of the field that are also trying to stack blocks. So you have a little foundation. You know, they're kind of like Lego blocks, as you can see. But you just got to stack as high as you can. And so we'll see. Okay, I think we're good. So we brought 4 blocks today. In terms of the actual robot, we have an intake mechanism with the green wheels that can intake the block quickly. And then we have a little lift system right here. Yeah, there's the intake. So that takes in the blocks as fast as possible. Go. And then, yeah, so then that's passed off to our lift system right here. And we just line up on the tower and stack the blocks. So, yeah, that's the basic operation. Yeah, one of the main challenges with this activity we do this year is we actually build everything on this movable plate. So you have to move the plate in a certain location at the beginning of the match, and at the very end, you need to move this plate with all of your blocks on it slow enough to make sure not everything falls over. So we don't have that plate with us today, but it's a very risky business because you spent all this time building this tower, and then you have to pull out this plate. Oh, so yeah, that's the basic operation of our robot.
Now, the unique thing about all this And it was interesting because the commissioners, we signed all these certificates a couple weeks ago. Well, we had to redo them because just last week they won the state championship. So let me just tell you a little bit about that. On February 22nd, the Mount Bethel Christian Academy First Tech Challenge Robotics team, batteries not included, won the 2020 FTC Georgia State Championships. And we'll move on to the first 2020 World Championships in Houston. After 10 hours of competition, 15 matches, and a dramatic finish, which you heard about, the team beat out 180 teams across the state. So they won the top spot to compete with other countries at the World Championship. The team has 12 students ranging from 8th to 11th grade and are excited to be one of the 7 teams. So congratulations on that. All right, Thomas, you can help me hand these out. Okay, so we have certificates of recognition for each of the team members. And it basically says, the Cobb Board of Commissioners honors you and the entire Mount Bethel Christian Academy's First Tech Challenge Robotics team, batteries not included, for winning the 2020 FTC State Championships. After 10 hours of competition, 15 matches, and a dramatic finish, your team beat out 180 teams across the state to win the top spot to compete with other countries at the World Championship. And then it goes on to talk about what I just told you about the team members, and it's signed by all the commissioners. So the first one I have here is for Coach Calvin. Is he here? All right. Coach Meredith. Coach Jamie. Coach John. All right, Boone, I'm sorry. Ben, Kendrick. Sure, good thing the team doesn't rely on everybody to be here. Eva. Christian. Andrew. Mason. Should give them all to the robot. Dawson. Josh. Who's here? Emma. All right, I know there's some in here for you guys. Gabby? Gavin? Oh, well. Make sure we spell that right. Patrick, I know you're here. Thomas is here. Madison? And Kush? All right, and I'm not going to call Julia up here, but Julia pointed out to one of our church committees on Sunday that this team competed against schools here in the county, one of them being the STEM Academy at Wheeler and Walton. And so this team, with a much smaller pool to draw from, finished first. So. Get in the middle, put the robot in the middle.
All right, congratulations. Next, Commissioner Burrow has a presentation for some Eagle Scouts.
Good evening, everyone. If Troop 173 could come up first, and the families, scout leaders, everybody up here, not just the Eagles. We're honored tonight to have 3 Eagle Scouts from Troop 173. Just around both sides. So they each had a different project that they worked on. First is Trent Baker. Come over here, Trent, if you will. And you did landscaping services at the Old Noonday Historic Cemetery?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so, well, I was on Noonday Cemetery, Old Noonday Cemetery. I don't like that. We tore down and rebuilt the gazebo that was on site. We completely cleaned up the cemetery, cleaned up all the brush. There's the
Pictures.
broken down gazebo right there. Here, that took a lot of work.
A lot of work. How long did it take you to complete the project? How many hours?
1,000 man-hours.
Wow,
That's a lot.
that is a lot. Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Anything else you want to tell us? We're proud of you.
Yes, thank you.
And here's your certificate.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Ashri Jada. Did I say that right? Yes. Close enough? Okay. Well, we applaud you for attaining the highest rank of Eagle Scout, and your project was benefiting Kahili Elementary School, an outdoor play area that you built for the children?
I built some balance beams and exercise blocks that they could use for field day and other activities, and then I also repaired a retaining wall there so to protect the playground from erosion, so that the balance beams and exercise blocks, that was my project.
And we have some pictures up here too of your project. Thank you, proud of you. Hunter Kresge? Kresge.
First time anyone's got it right.
Oh, gosh. And your project was benefiting Kennesaw Charter School.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us what you did with your building your outdoor classroom.
So we built 6 different desks. We styled it off of a different outdoor classroom we saw. And essentially it would be like a picnic table, but if you took off one side of seats. So it was all facing around like a coliseum kind of, as you can see there, around this podium we built. So that children could come out during nice days and have classes.
Great job. Proud of you. So, all you other guys in Troop 173, these are your role models. So I want to see you up here in a couple years with your eagle, okay? Ready? Okay. Now we're going to get a picture. Oh. Sorry. There's
Okay, ready? If you can't see me, I can't see you. 1, 2, 3. One more.
Okay, thank y'all. Thank you, Stephen. Good to see you. Take care. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Burrow has another
Okay.
Eagle presentation.
Yes, Jake Crossan, and I believe your dad's here. Anybody else that would like to come up with you? Okay, this little Eagle Scout, I knew when he was little. He's done a lot in the community. His father has raised him well, his mom and dad. So Jake is a family friend, but also happens to be an Eagle Scout that we're recognizing tonight. And for his project, he built 3 benches at the Skip Wells Park, which used to be Bells Ferry Park. So tell us a little bit about your project. I don't know if we have pictures. I don't think we have pictures.
So I made 3 benches at Skip Wells Park in memory of Lance Corporal Skip Wells, and because I thought it was a really good idea for the project, and I got permissions for it rather quickly, so.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so how long did it take you to complete your project? How many hours?
About 100 man-hours, but we didn't have that many people with us, so.
Well, congratulations. Also, this young man is graduating from Kell High School and is going into the Georgia National Guard. So thank you for your service. Okay, let's get a picture. Oh, Kelly.
Commissioner Gambrill has a presentation.
Thank you. If I could ask Keiko Huffman to come up, please, and any of your family, and Kimberly White, why don't you come with her?
Yeah, we can go.
As they come up, we're going to show you some pictures and honoring our Certificate of Recognition recipient, KCB intern Keiko Huffman. We would like to give you the highlights from Keep America Beautiful banquet. National Student of the Year Award from Keep America Beautiful, Keiko Huffman is a senior at the Academy of Mathematics, Science and Technology at Kennesaw Mountain High School in Kennesaw, Georgia. Keiko is the founding member of Cobb County's STEAM Punk Invitation Competition, which encourages students to learn about environmental topics. At her high school, she is also the co-founder and president of the Environmental Science Club, an environmental chair of the Science Club, and a member of the Model United Nations Club. Other awards, Keep Cobb Beautiful was also recognized at the Keep America Beautiful National Award, winning the Affiliate of Sustained Excellence Award. This award is given to affiliates who have won the Affiliate of Excellence Award consecutively for 3 years in a row and sustained an exceptional display of environmental initiatives and innovation in their communities. KCB accepting the Affiliate of Sustained Excellence Award at the National KAB Banquet, accepting the award from left to right, is Dawn Smith, KCB Environmental Programs Coordinator, Helen Lohman, KCB President, Kimberly White, KCB Director, and Keiko Huffman, KCB Intern. So Keiko, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners proudly recognizes you for winning the National Student of the Year Award from the National Keep America Beautiful organization and the Student of the Year Award from the Keep Georgia Beautiful Foundation. As an intern at Keep Cobb Beautiful in 2019, you accomplished many tasks, including assisting with litter prevention, recycling, and environmental projects. You also helped with the Litter Index Survey, volunteered at events, and have assisted with implementing a new glass recycling program for Cobb County. Your hard work and dedication to Keep Cobb Beautiful highlights your commitment and faithful service to our community. You truly inspire people to improve and beautify their environment. Thank you.
Okay, that's what a great way to start the evening. All right, next order of business is a public hearing, and let Bill lead us in that.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners, County Manager. Tonight, we're here to conduct a public hearing prior to the execution of a multi-year lease or lease purchase contract with respect to the financing and the construction and equipping of Fire Station 17 to be located on 3321 Barrett Parkway in unincorporated Cobb County, Fire Station number 17, through an installment sale financing with the Association County Commissioners of Georgia.
All right, so before I open up the public hearing, just the ground rules. Every speaker has 3 minutes, unlimited number of speakers. If you let us know who you are and where you live, we'd appreciate that. So with that, I now declare this public hearing open on the execution of a multi-year lease purchase contract with respect to the financing of the construction and equipping of a new Fire Station 17 to be located at 3321 Ernest W. Barrett Parkway Northwest in unincorporated Cobb County through an installment sale finance with the Association County Commissioners of Georgia. Would anyone like to address this issue? Please.
My name's Patricia Hay, and I live in Mableton. And I just really have some questions about this. Don't we have a dedicated fire fund to pay for this fire station? Why are we borrowing money to pay for it? And I'm kind of puzzled. Don't we have enough debt with the Braves Stadium and all these other things, the parking garage? Why are we going into debt for this? Is that not what the fire fund's for? And if it's not, can you tell me what the fire fund is? I'm just,
Sure, yeah.
Just questions.
There's a long answer to that, so what I'd really like you to do is, Bill Volkman will be, I want him to give you your unabridged attention, because you asked a lot of questions, they have a lot of
I do.
pieces.
Yeah,
And I'm sure if you sit down with Bill, he'd be glad to answer those questions for you tonight.
okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I just don't want us to go into debt.
I hear you. No.
We're already in debt. Okay?
All right, thank you for coming tonight. Any other comments? Any other person like to speak to this issue? Seeing none, I now declare this public hearing closed. Okay, Bill? Hey, Bill Volkman? Before you talk with the young lady, Commissioner has some questions of you first, okay? Okay.
Yes.
Bill, I know we have discussed this, and it may help answer some of Ms. Hayes' questions, but we voted on the construction and the fire station in April and in May of last year, June of last year, and it was approved 5-0 by this board. Because normally, we do have other fire stations that are being replaced or rebuilt on SPLOST, and I have one that we purchased the property out of the fire fund, but I'm holding off on the building out of the fire fund because of the pay raises and the step-in grade taken away from the fire fund, trying to give it some relief rather than taking it out of the money from the fire fund. Originally, this was slated to come out of the fire fund, but because of the increases, the pay increases at the step-in grade that will be implemented in March, we're trying to use an alternative method here. And we will own the fire station after the bond is paid back, the 10-year lease amount. Correct? The $6
Correct. You are
million.
absolutely correct, Commissioner. This is a 10-year lease, and after the final payment of the 10-year lease, which, mind you, will be paid for out of the fire fund, so the fire fund will be making the debt service payments on this lease. So this was a way to spread out the cost of a $6.5 million fire station. So we're going to pay for it over 10 years versus writing a check for $6.5 million right out of the gate. But yes, we will own, the land was purchased out of the fire fund directly, and then we are going to pay for the construction and equipment out of this lease. But at the end of the 10-year lease, the fire fund or the county as a whole will own this fire station, the
Right.
building.
And the important thing here is I did move the one in my district to the next SPLOST list, providing, that goes through, and if not, it would come out of the fire fund, but at least it's an alternative method. This particular fire station is already under construction, so we don't have the ability to really move it to, and it wasn't on the 16 SPLOST, so we can't use SPLOST money at this time. So I just thought an explanation would help. You can still probably need to talk to Ms. Hay, but I just wanted to clarify that for the public.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, so public hearing is now closed. Public comment.
Yes, Chairman, we have 4 that have signed up for public comment. The first
Okay.
one's Sheila Edwards.
Good afternoon, or good evening, Chairman Boyce and members of the Board of Commissioners. I'm Sheila Edwards, and I'm a member of the Mapleton community of South Cobb. I'm here to express my strong support and advocacy for Dr. Jackie McMorris as our next county manager. I urge your unanimous support of her appointment to this role. During the recent State of the County address at the Cobb Chamber of Commerce breakfast, I was pleased to hear Chairman Boyce share with the attendees the board's support of Dr. McMorris as the next county manager. I was disappointed and dismayed to see the Marietta Daily Journal article, front page, top half of the fold, that there is not full support for Dr. McMorris by the board. I'm astonished by the suggestion that this process lacks transparency or has not been open. Dr. McMorris' role of deputy county manager was created with succession in mind, to ensure that the county can continue to function at a high level if the person at the top is no longer there. The suggestion that this has not been open does not reflect reality. When Rob Hosack came out of retirement and accepted the role of county manager, everyone was on notice that it would be for a limited period of time. When Dr. McMorris was appointed to the role of deputy county manager, it was based on her leadership skills and her ability to perform while looking towards the county's future. During the time period that Dr. McMorris has been Rob's deputy, she's been able to develop her knowledge, skills, and abilities as a senior government official in preparation to assume this executive role. The county was right to prepare itself for the day when a top leadership would leave, and Dr. McMorris is ready for the greater leadership role this presents. I applaud Commissioner Ott for his thoughtful comments and agree with him that Dr. McMorris is highly qualified for this role. Dr. McMorris must receive unanimous support from the board for appointment to this role. If partial support should be unacceptable. If there's an ethical or moral reason why she cannot receive your support, you should put that into the record for public consumption. You must not allow this vote to be based on idiosyncrasies regarding transparency. I'm taken aback by the utilization of this word, as we have been demanding transparency as it relates to South Cobb Redevelopment Authority for years, to no avail. I could get into the obvious, which is that Dr. McMorris's appointment would be the first female to serve in this leadership role. However, I won't. Dr. McMorris's appointment should be based on her merit and her ability to perform the job. Likewise, being a woman and a person of color should not dissuade anyone on the board from supporting her. In addition, Dr. McMorris's pay should be commensurate with what the county is currently paying, as she will be expected to perform at the same high level that Rob has established. Her salary should not be subjected to being behind the scenes slicing and dicing. In closing, the county must stop moving the goalposts when it comes to talented employees ascending up the ladder. I was in the audience when Michael Hughes was presented a proclamation after leaving the county to take his talents to a neighboring community. After hearing his education and background, I wondered why the county would allow someone as talented as Michael to leave, especially with the institutional knowledge he had built up through the years at Cobb County. I wonder why the county would not give him the top job he had been doing as an interim director. I urge you not to create a similar situation for Dr. McMorris to walk away from us. Talented people don't stick around. They take their talents to other communities, and those other communities reap the benefits. Let's keep Dr. McMorris and her talents in Cobb County as our next county manager and keep pushing our county forward. Thank you.
Terry Cumming.
Good evening, Chairman and chairs. My name is Terry Alexis Cummings, and I live in Mableton. And I have 4 big thank yous this evening. The first is to the board and to Chairman Boyce for putting on Cobb Restore 360, which will be occurring this Saturday. I understand that Commissioner Cupid helped secure the location for DA Homes. And this is like a really big deal. I've worked in federal corrections for 25 years. And when people who are in prison get out, don't have a job, it leads to recidivism. This project has morphed into not just a job fair, but a housing fair also. And I believe it's going to be the first of many. And not only does it give returning citizens an opportunity to get a job, support their families, and become productive members of the community, but it also saves Georgia over $21,000 per person. And that's the cost of every person that has to go back to prison. So I want to thank you. I remember speaking to Mike Murphy around this time last year, because I've done a couple of these returning citizen job fairs, and he was like, why not Cobb County? And now here we are. So I think it's an excellent thing, and I want to thank you for being supportive and for putting that on. Next, I want to congratulate Dr. McMorris. I first met her in Cobb 101, and I think that she is just an exceptional, phenomenal person, and it doesn't slide by that this is Black History Month, and she will be the first African-American woman in that position, so I want to congratulate her. Next, I would like to thank Commissioner Ott and Representative Eric Allen. I was really dismayed when I heard about Sterigenics and what was going on with this negative airway testing with no permits and no notification to the residents, which I think is imperative. I want to thank you for stepping in and for stopping that. And I live in Mableton, but I can look across the street and see Smyrna, so we're concerned also. Last, I would like to thank Commissioner Burrell for the mat outside. We both fell, and she took care of it. Thank you.
Janet Rao.
Good evening. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Stop Sterigenics Georgia group. We have some questions and felt like this was the appropriate forum at this time to bring them to you. How is it possible that construction was allowed to continue after the work stoppage was issued, the building permit pulled, and Sterigenics' certificate of occupancy was canceled? Through the efforts of our citizens group, we've documented a steady stream of work conducted on that property. We passed that information along, asking for action. None came. Last week, we received information about systems testing, and to compound insult to injury, we hear that this testing was approved by County Manager Hosak. Most recently, we've been given word that all systems have now been installed in the facility. How is this legal? Without a CO, there shouldn't even be ethylene oxide on site. The presence of ethylene oxide creates the high hazard situation that was under review in the first place. The ethylene oxide should be removed. Without a building permit, no new construction should take place. A building permit ensures plans have been approved. Have they even been submitted? Has the third-party expert given their report? Have inspections occurred to ensure safety in construction? If the answer to all these questions is no, then Sterigenics has operated with disregard for the laws of our county and should face consequences. It's illegal behavior. One could quite reasonably argue that those consequences should include being barred from doing further business in our county. We deserve safety. We deserve to have businesses in our county who will obey our laws and regulations. And we want to know how this possibly could have happened under your watch. Thank you.
Denny Wilson.
Good evening, Chairman Boyce and members of the Board of Commissioners. Kind of bear with me because I had a little bit of dental surgery. I had two bottom wisdom teeth removed, so I'm still a little droggy. My name is Denny Wilson, and I live in unincorporated Austell, and I'm within minutes of the Six Flags Special Tax District. With this being Black History Month, I'd like to start with a small piece read by Booker T. Washington during the Atlanta Compromise in 1865 that's so reflective of the community that I now live in. A ship lost at sea for many days suddenly sighted a friendly vessel. From the mast of the unfortunate vessel was seen a signal, "Water, water, we die of thirst." The answer came back from the friendly vessel at once, "Cast down your bucket where you are." A second time, the signal, "Water, water, send us water," ran up the distressed vessel and was answered, "Cast down your bucket where you are." And a third and fourth signal for water was answered, "Cast down your bucket where you are." The captain of the distressed vessel, at last, heeding the injunction, cast down his bucket, and it came up full of fresh, sparkling water from the mouth of the Amazon River. For several years, we, the citizens of unincorporated South Cobb, have cast down our bucket, only for it to come up empty. I came here tonight to apologize to each of you for the exorbitant amount of emails that I've sent you, pleading for help from my community. I can no longer be angry with you, nor can I be angry with the South Cobb Redevelopment Authority, as our bucket remains empty due to leadership, our leadership, not adhering to the community's outcry. Attending the work session on yesterday and the South Cobb Redevelopment Authority's community meeting on last night made me realize that I've been spending too much time trying to convince you that our community needs and wants help, as our leadership abandoned us some time ago. However, we will go street by street, door by door, and neighbor by neighbor to raise awareness in our community, as we will not be blindly driven from the place that we call home. South Cobb Redevelopment Authority's study presented last night downplayed our community tremendously, putting homeowners at fear in a way to have them leave the community. My opinion of this study, it was prepared with intentions to drive homeowners from our community, citing it being a heavy industrial area with a low per household income. Statistics I truly believe are incorrect. As many of you already know, our community could not qualify to receive any Opportunity Zone funding due to the per household income being too high. It amazes me how this study differs so much by a huge margin from the one submitted by the Atlanta Regional Commission in 2012. As we come together as a community with our strength in numbers, we will take ownership as we turn our community around for the greater good, and our bucket will no longer come up empty. I say to all my community families and friends, November 3rd is just around the corner, and we will vote out leadership that's not reflective of our community. Thank you.
Chairman, that concludes the speakers that signed up.
Thank you. All right, before we get into the consent agenda, I'm going to make a motion that we add a non-agenda item number 40 to the end of the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, if you would throw that up on the, can you throw it up on the screen? Do you have a copy of that? So we'd understand, there you go, right there, okay? And just to give you a brief idea of what that's addressing here, House Bill 302 and Senate Bill 172 would prohibit Cobb County and other local governments from regulating building design elements of one or two family dwellings in our communities. House Bill 937 would prohibit Cobb County and other local governments from regulating building products, materials, or construction practices for single-family dwellings in our communities. This could negatively impact economic development effort and harm competitiveness. Local design standards and land use policies create a diverse, stable, profitable, and sustainable development landscape. And so we're adding a resolution basically to opposing Senate House Bill 302, I'm sorry, House Bill 302, House Bill 937, and Senate Bill 172. That's what item number 40 does. So we have a second. Any discussion? Okay, we have a second. All right, any discussion? I'll call the question then. Okay, I'm calling the question. Passes 5-0. All right, with that, if you would scroll through the rest of the consent agenda, please, before I call the motion to approve the consent agenda as revised. With that, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as revised. Second, any discussion? Sure. Commissioner.
Yes, I would like to note that I'm opposed to agenda item number 11.
Okay, so noted. Any other comments? Call the question. Passes 5-0. All right, now on to the regular agenda. And first one is to I make a motion to approve a resolution for the appointment of Dr. Jackie R. McMorris as the county manager, effective April 4th, 2020. Second. All right, discussion. Commissioner Cupid, yes.
Thank you, Chairman. I wish that I could say that my role on this board has been an easy one. And it hasn't always been. And I think it's expedient to sometimes make the easy decisions. But I think that I have shown to be principled in the way that I conduct myself on this board and to be pragmatic. And despite what any headlines may say, you will certainly hear from my head and my heart this evening. I think the world of our Deputy County Manager, Jackie McMorris. I think the absolute world of her. I hold her in high esteem, not only for the level of excellence of which she approaches her work, but for her character and her thoughtfulness. She will make a fine county manager. The county manager is the highest level administrative officer within our county government. The county manager is indeed the chief executive officer of Cobb County and exercises control over all departments or divisions of the county, excluding those assigned under our constitutional officers and our judiciary. They supervise thousands of men and women in the state of Georgia's third most populous county. The county manager sees that all laws and ordinances of the county are enforced, amongst a list of other responsibilities. The primary issue today has to do with ensuring that we follow reasonable processes when it shows that we are fairly regarding the interest of all people. So despite my heart that I have for Dr. McMorris and my appreciation and respect for her, and she knows me very well, very well. And my approach to this decision, I'm sure, comes as no surprise to her as anyone that has seen me lead here in the county. And it disheartens me that we are put in this situation today. It disheartens me that she has been put in this situation here today. For this board to be confronted with such a decision, yes, at the State of the County address, without there ever being a discussion amongst the board, collectively. Reasonable processes in hiring key department, division, or agency heads in Cobb County has typically meant that we have applied at least one of the following acts. We have discussed the open positions with the county manager. We discussed possible positions with the hiring manager, discussed the open positions or candidates with commissioners in an executive session. We opened the hiring process internally. We opened the hiring process externally. We have HR review and narrow down a pool of candidates. We have a candidate interview, we have an interview of top candidates and through a committee. And we have the county manager also interview top candidates that have been narrowed down. We have the county manager forward top candidates to the BOC for review, and the Board of Commissioners interviews the candidates with the HR manager and the hiring manager. We don't always apply all of those steps, but we at least have one of those steps. I firmly believe that if we were to appoint the county manager in the fashion which has been presented, that it would lack a reasonable process for the board to have constructively discussed the appointment collectively and with reasonable time constraint that is commensurate to the level of authority, influence, and responsibility of this role, and that is consistent with the level of consideration that we have given when hiring other executive positions of this county that are subordinate to the role of a county manager. Why do I question this process as being not reasonable? I do not believe, again, we have ever hired a key head of a division without utilizing one of the steps that I shared. And I could refer to two recent examples. Just yesterday, we interviewed candidates for the Support Services Director, which is subordinate to the county manager. That interview of the Board of Commissioners was preceded by an interview of the county manager, which preceded by a committee which narrowed a pool of applicants, and applicants were considered both internally and externally. Prior to hiring that position, we hired a water systems director. That director at least had a county manager interview. And when that candidate was going to be put forward by the county manager for a Board of Commissioners meeting for us to vote, I shared that we should at least make sure that we open this position up. So even though things were moving full steam ahead for us to have that person appointed, we stepped back, we opened the position up, and we did hire internally after that candidate showed herself to be highly competitive amongst those considered. I can refer to the hiring of our current county manager, which we at least discussed amongst each other in exec. There are two other hires of which I expressed concern publicly at this very meeting. This was when we hired our county attorney, and I expressed concern about the process not being consistent to his predecessor, where she was interviewed by the chair and commissioners, and external candidates were considered. And that was preceded by extensive communication with the chair about her candidacy. I have a great respect and admiration for our current county attorney, and I spoke with him prior to the meeting, and he knew about my challenge of him being hired in this manner, of being appointed. And despite our work and our experience together, I shared in this same room that I will no longer approve any agency, director, or division head in leadership in Cobb County without it going through an open hiring process. I shared that here today on a similar evening, 7 p.m., where the public was present. Even though my voice may not have resonated with those who were here at that meeting, my commitment to making sure that this county has an open hiring process has not changed. When we hired our police chief, again, very uncomfortable conversations. And I respect you, Chief Cox. I respect our working relationship. And I called you before the meeting. And I felt very uncomfortable in having a very difficult conversation of which all of our county leadership was present, because I felt we should have been consistent with the hiring of our police chief to make sure that that process was an open process, as it was for his predecessor. His predecessor was part of an open call for applicants, and he was interviewed by committee, interviewed by county manager, interviewed by people in this community who are concerned about me not appointing someone today, but felt they had to be a part of that process. He was interviewed by commissioners. Now, there are some counters that will say, Commissioner Cupid, this process was reasonable. We discussed it in exec. We just discussed this in exec yesterday, after it was put in the agenda book, after it was announced publicly, putting all of our board in a very uncomfortable position, which is unfair and disrespectful to our role that we play in vetting our candidates to make sure that we pick the very best and that we have done it in, yes, in the daylight and transparency, yes, of the public. We received a contract a week ago, of which there were still questions just yesterday. And the spirit of the communication was, well, basically you go and figure it out right the day before a meeting. That's unreasonable to respect the interests of our board by putting them in that kind of situation. When I received the call from the chair about his intent to hire Dr. McMorris or to promote her, I shared with him the same thing that I've shared with every other executive hire, is that you are aware of my commitment to the open process. Will you be putting this forward to an open process? And that was not his intent. I almost feel set up. Darn if you do and darn if you don't. You feel like you can't be consistent with your own principles and the things that you committed to, but you also cannot publicly support someone who you think is a wonderful candidate because of your commitment to the interest of the county as a whole beyond person. I think this was an unfair process for the candidate, for the board, for other possible candidates, and for the public. I think it was unfair to Deputy McMorris, soon-to-be County Manager McMorris. I felt it was unfair here for her to be publicly scrutinized in the manner of which she was. She has become part of unnecessary public and political fodder. No one reading anything of her resume can take into account the totality of experience and character that she brings to the table. All of who she is could have been considered during the hiring process, so we could have boldly stood up for her. I think it was unfair to the board for the reasons that I've shared, but it was unfair to us because we felt limited in our ability to exercise good stewardship to our constituency and the public purse. And for this, we have been maligned and disregarded. It's unfair for possible candidates who have a desire to descend into leadership in this county. Internally, we have employees who may have interest, experience, and qualifications to ascend into higher positions. Many who may not have a deputy position or a position that is second in command. In fact, when I shared with you about another position, there was an appointment made that I felt very uncomfortable about. And after we made the appointment, I found out about someone who has been with the county for decades, who was interested in being considered, who the commissioners had no clue about. When we make decisions without opening up to our employees and to the public, it kills their morale. It kills morale, too, of other deputies who were not automatically promoted, that we've had a practice of doing in this county. And our police chief is an example of that. We had other deputy chiefs that did not automatically ascend in that role. We also had a deputy director for community development, and we knew when that person was appointed that they were going to be retiring. So you can't tell me here that every time we hire a deputy that we know they're going to be promoted to director, because that has not been our practice. There are people who will argue with me and tell me that succession planning should indicate that someone automatically moves into a role. But I tell you, succession planning should foster preparation, not protectionism. Succession planning should prepare for leadership to ensure ongoing function of an organization, but it should not serve to protect people from a competitive hiring process. Succession planning, to me, gives people a leg up so when they are interviewed, they can show the unique quality that they bring to the table by having been trained for a position, and the cream should naturally rise to the top. However, if there are circumstances where someone externally can bring something of value to the county, they should also be considered. And externally, in this instance, is not necessarily external to the county, but external to the deputy position or the person who is second in command. I contend we've had very strong transformative leadership by people who have been internal to the county and external. I think a healthy organization will have both. For this particular position, there possibly could have been external candidates considered outside of Cobb County. Although there are 159 counties in Georgia, only 4 of them have populations over 300,000. Likely for those seeking competitive opportunities, they would consider a larger county. They would consider Cobb, even though they may not be here. They may be with a larger city that's in Georgia or even outside of the state of Georgia. When we just make appointments like this without properly vetting it, it kills the trajectory of other potential candidates who could have something of quality and of value to bring to Cobb County. Finally, I think this is unfair to the public. The public should have reasonable expectations that their elected leaders have reasonably vetted all potential candidates so that we can provide reasonable stewardship of their tax dollars and reasonable consideration of their expectations on service delivery. Now, it has been argued the chairman has the authority to make the appointment of the county manager per county law, and he does have that authority. But having the authority to do something, it certainly gives you that opportunity to take that course of action, but it doesn't obligate you to that course of action. Having the authority to do something gives you the right to do something, but full implementation does not necessarily make it right. And maybe to some, no, and possibly to many, what's the action tonight is right. We know that Deputy County Manager McMorris has worked her way up to the position of what she is considering today. And she brings a breath of fresh air to Cobb County. And many know that and believe that it's time for a woman to ascend into leadership in this county. And yes, as a Black woman, it is pivotal to have the opportunity to lead in Cobb County. Please understand that her appointment provides me a sense of joy, and for those who long to see themselves, our daughters, and the county reflect all of the persons that live here. I know personally that Dr. McMorris has worked hard for this and has earned her right to be considered. Even so, such accomplishment should not take on a character of ascension that typically leaves people of diversity outside of consideration. When we have open processes, all can be considered, irrespective of gender, race, or other affiliation, and they could be considered on their merits. I have been on this board for going on 8 years, and I have been in the same position in exec where we've had leaders put in positions who were not properly vetted. I've been in meetings where there's been statements made that I like this guy, or I don't see why we just don't have X fill this role. And as someone who tries to think as critically and open as possible, There have been times I have been filled with fear to ask questions and push us having an open process because I've been concerned if I question anything, will this person treat me well when they're leading in the county? Will they be considerate of my request as a commissioner? Will I face backlash from the board if I don't support where the majority of the board is? But it got to a point where I kept seeing that happen over and over again. I finally put my foot down. And I made a commitment to myself and this board and to the public. I will be open to make sure we have an open process so everybody can be considered. And I'm sorry today if transparency of such a manner is frowned down upon. It's easy for me to make a certain decision today for us to be unanimous as a board. It's hard to stick with principle, and it's hard to stick with the things that you know make this county fair and will make it the best it can be moving into the future. So on principle, my decision today is easy. And my heart today still towards Dr. McMorris is full. But my commitment to this county and how I have led and continue to lead in such a way that opens up consideration for everybody, I cannot affirm or approve this appointment in the manner of which it is going down today. But Dr. McMorris, County Manager McMorris, I've let you know from right here, you know you have my full and dearest support. Whether or not you see people who want to undermine it, you have my full and dearest support. I love you, all right?
Mr. Chairman, can I make comments, please?
Yeah, sure.
All right, I want to speak on my own behalf. I don't need someone else to tell anyone how I, as a member of this board, feel. It is not unfair to me. I have no conflict. What is unfair is to drag Dr. McMorris through the mud over a procedural issue. If a commissioner has a problem with a procedural issue, fine. But we do not need to drag a wonderful person, a highly qualified person, highly educated, through the mud. She doesn't need protection from anything. Her record, her education, her job performance speak for themselves. You want to talk about the cream floating to the top? She's the creme de la creme. I have no reservations about supporting Dr. McMorris to be the next county manager.
Thank you. Commissioner Burrell?
I'll say amen to that. When the chairman first approached me, I agree that Jackie is the only choice for this position. I mean, she was appointed deputy and is highly, highly qualified, overqualified with her education, her background, her experience, and her knowledge of this county and its citizens. So I have no reservations at all of the process or the appointment of Dr. Jackie McMorris tonight. In fact, I knew Jackie before I was a commissioner and before she came to Cobb. We worked together in another county. And I was in the private sector, she was with the county. So I've known her, I know her dedication and commitment, and I have no doubts or reservations at all that she will be the ultimate county manager. And I applaud her, praise her, and I'm here for you if you need anything, and I look forward to working with you as our next county manager. God bless you.
Okay. With that, I call the question.
Chairman, if you would, just for your motion, just for sake.
Oh, that's, I made one small, it's
Yeah, if you
April
wouldn't mind, sir.
5th. I made a motion to be April 5th when she'll, her appointment becomes effective April 5th, not April 4th. Yes, okay, we have a second.
We all second.
And authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents. Okay, that's the Commissioner Ott collateral. With that, can I call the question now? All right. Okay, and it passes 4-1 with Commissioner Ott in opposition. Cupid in opposition. Commissioner Cupid in opposition. I'm sorry about that, Dr. Morris. Would you please come forward? The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman, for the faith, the confidence, the support. The entire board, thank you. I know you support me. When I lost my husband about 6 weeks ago, this board, you all stood there with me. I thank you. My children at home watching this, thank you for your text messages, your funny emojis, lifting me up every day. The management team, would you come forward, please? I couldn't do this job without you. Rob, thank you. Thank you for your unselfish leadership. Colleen, thank you for sharing your husband with me. I love you. I assure you that you have the best, because this team isn't going to let me fail. This is your team. I will continue to work to support this board in everything and in every way. I will continue to make you look good.
That's a hard job.
It's hard. I thank all of you for giving me this opportunity. It does not fall deaf on me that this is a special time of the year. It is Black History Month. I know next door, the NAACP is celebrating Black History Month. I truly believe I was chosen for this job because this board and Rob felt that I was most qualified to do this job. I just happened to be Black. I just happened to be born female. To all of you, I love you. Thank you for lifting me up when I was down. My leadership Cobb classmates, thank you for the love and the support. Our business community, the nonprofit community, all of you. Brother Ben, thank you for being here. Thank you for the words of encouragement. Thank you for the love. I am here to serve the residents of Cobb with dignity, integrity, with alacrity, and I cannot end this by not bringing attention and recognition to my right hand. Judith Bowers, would you please join me? She is my rock. I love her dearly. Thank you. I am here for you. All I have to give you is my service, and I thank you. I thank my husband who supported me, who's with me right here, right now. Miss Bonner, Jareen, thank y'all for being here. I love you dearly. Joyette, thank you for coming. All of you, public safety, to the person who cleans this building, I love you dearly. Thank you.
Okay. Transportation, I believe.
Did you know that was on there? Okay.
Good evening, sir. We have a few items for consideration. Our first item is going to be requesting the Board of Commissioners approve a contract modification number 1 to the utility relocation agreement with the Georgia Power Company in an amount not to exceed $35,172 for additional costs associated with the preliminary engineering and relocation of facilities on Cobb Parkway, US 41 State Route 3 at Windy Hill Road.
Commissioner Ott.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Thank you. Our next item is requesting that the Board of Commissioners approve supplemental agreement number 1 in an amount not to exceed $6,000 for a memorandum of agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation for continued preliminary engineering oversight at Windy Hill Road at Terrell Mill Road Connector.
Commissioner Ott.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you, sir. Our next item is requesting that the Board of Commissioners approve change order number 1 final to the contract with Accelera Construction LLC, a savings to the project in the amount of $47,677.86 for drainage system repairs on Gaydon Road.
Commissioner Cupid.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is requesting the Board of Commissioners approve change order number 1 final to the contract with CMEC LLC, a savings to the project in the amount of $115,964.90 for Chimney Springs Drive sidewalks.
Commissioner Ott.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you, sir. Our next item is requesting the Board of Commissioners approve change order number 1 final to the contract with Butch Thompson Enterprises, Inc., a savings to the project in the amount of $24,867.81 for drainage system repairs on Timber Trail at South Gordon Road.
Commissioner Cupid.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is requesting the Board of Commissioners approve a change order number 2 final to the contract with Baldwin Paving Company, Inc., a savings to the project in the amount of $96,972.94 for thoroughfare improvements on Cobb Parkway, US 41 State Route 3 at Dallas Ackworth Highway, State Route 92.
Commissioner Gamble.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. And the last item is requesting that the Board of Commissioners approve change order number 1 to the contract with Triscapes, Inc., a no-cost time extension through March 31st, 2020 for Bells Ferry Road sidewalk.
Commissioner Burrow.
Motion to approve.
Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Manager. Parks has one item for this evening. Our item is for the board to approve a contract with Superior Recreation Products in an amount not to exceed $54,189.77 to provide shade structures over all spectator bleachers at the Upper Hub in Lost Mountain Park under the 2016 Park Splosh Program. The Youth Association's $34,000 contribution to this project will be handled through a separate contract between them and the vendor. Therefore, we ask the Board of Commissioners to approve the contract, authorize the corresponding budget transactions, and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Gamble.
So moved.
Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman,
evening, Scott.
Commissioners, County Manager. Property Management has one item for approval tonight. It's the Board of Commissioners approved supplemental agreement number 2 final to the contract with K-Team Engineering and Construction in the amount of $25,430 for the renovation of the existing restrooms at the Police Precinct 1, Fire Station 8, located at 2380 Cobb Parkway, Kennesaw.
Commissioner Gamble.
So moved.
Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. No other comment? All right, with that, I move that the board authorize submission to the Kennesaw Hospital Authority the names for consideration for an appointment to fill the expired term of post 5.
Second.
Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0. And with public comment, I'll start with you, Commissioner Cupid. Commissioner's comment.
Yes. Again, congratulations to our soon-to-be county manager, Dr. McMorris. We have an event coming up this Saturday that has been put on by the Solicitor General Barry Morgan and DA Joyette Holmes for our first of soon to be a series of expungement events and job expo. It will be held in District 4 at the Riverside Epicenter at 10 a.m. this Saturday, February 29th. And the expungement event is available for those who registered in advance with the job fair to follow that is open to everyone. Okay, excellent. Next, we will have our monthly community zoning meeting this Wednesday, February 26th at the South Cobb Community Center. We will discuss upcoming March cases. Wanted to let the public know that Family Life Restoration Center will be back to discuss the possible operation of their site across from their home site on Mableton Parkway. I encourage those that have an interest in that facility to please attend so that there can be robust discussion on how that can move forward. And we will discuss that after we discuss the March zoning cases. Finally, in conjunction with Janine Eveler at Cobb Elections, we will have a town hall meeting on Tuesday, March 10th at the Windy Hill Community Center so that people can learn about their upcoming precinct changes in Cobb and see a demo of the new voting equipment. Those conclude my comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Gamble.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, congratulations to Dr. McMorris on her appointment as the new county manager. First off, I would like to give a big shout out to the large animal rescue group and also our public safety officers. This 35-year-old horse, 35 years old, yes, got himself into trouble, and I would like to commend our firefighters who came and helped get him back up and standing, and I'm glad to say he is doing very well. So from Engine 17, I'd like to thank Lieutenant Matthew Joyner, Engineer Zach Morgan, and Firefighter Lucas Tarka. From Squad 16, Lieutenant Michael Parrish, Firefighter Kyle Jost, and Firefighter Patrick Kirby, and Firefighter Nathan Sahlberg. And also from Battalion 5, our Battalion Chief Tom Hadcock and Firefighter Tony Rupert, in addition to Lori Wilson, who runs the volunteer large animal rescue group that works with our firefighters. So thank you very much for your service. Next, on Thursday, February 27th, we will be having a joint town hall with Commissioner Burrell and I to talk about voting and elections. This will be held at the North Cobb Regional Library from 6 to 8 p.m. We hope to see you all there. Our speaker will be Janie Eveler as Director of Cobb Elections and Registration. There will be demonstrations on the new voting machines. Also, we will have the GIS Advanced Voting Location Maps, which will include all the new early voting locations, give you routes to the locations, and it will also display the wait times once the polls open. We hope to see you all there. And lastly, we have Gambrel Spring Bike Ride and Archery Day. Please note, pending Jimmy Giese and his crew's inspection of the park due to the rain and flooding we're having, this could be postponed, but right now it is scheduled for March 7th. Well, this is what happens when we have parks in floodplain. So that is true. We could have canoe, but I'm not sure if it would be safe to canoe. Jimmy will have to get with that. Paddle boats. How about paddle boats? But anyways, if the event is still on, we will let you know in my Friday newsletter. But the event will feature demonstrations of the Cobb County Emergency Locator Marker Program. There will also be an archery shoot, archery swap meet, and chili cook-off. There will also be a free flight bicycle demonstration and bike swap meet, so bring your bicycle helmets. The event is free and so is parking. That is all.
Commissioner Burrow.
Yes, I'd first like to say too, congratulations, Dr. McMorris. We're proud of you and look forward to working with you. I'd also like to give a shout out to the NAACP. They have had open houses the whole month of February for Black History Month. And Saturday, I made it over there finally. It was a great crowd, and we did have our Board of Elections there doing a demonstration on the new voting machines. And as you heard from Commissioner Gambrill, they will also be at our town hall this Thursday at the new and beautiful North Cobb Regional Library. So thank you to the NAACP. Congratulations. Mr. Ho served in the Marine Corps from 2012 to 2017. We thank him for his service and thank him for giving Amos a forever home. Amos is a 3-year-old flat-coated lab who entered the animal shelter on January 2nd. And since our Superior Pets for Patriotic Vets program began, we have placed 135 pets, dogs and cats, with veterans. So thank you to Superior Plumbing for your donation to this program and to our Cobb County Animal Services staff for all that they do. Thank you. Now through the end of the month, the special for adoptions is $20, dogs and cats, at the Cobb County Animal Shelter. So if you're not a veteran and you can't adopt for free, you can adopt for $20. So go pick out your new best friend through the end of the month. On this Friday at 4 p.m., you're invited to a ribbon cutting for the new road at the racetrack at 2337 Canton Road. This was zoning in 2016, and now there's a new entrance off of Canton Road that connects to the driveway behind the racetrack and the vacant property next to it that they purchased, and will connect to Westerly Way for the residents at Chimney Cottages and the subdivisions behind there. So please come out at 4 o'clock. We hope to see you there, and I hope the sun is out. We now have a final list of all 20 locations for the 2022 SPLOST meetings. So you're invited. The first one is a week from tonight in District 3 from 6 to 8 at Piedmont Church, 570 Piedmont Road in Marietta. So we invite you to come. It will be an open house. The lists and projects will be on display. There'll be staff there to answer any questions. And we also will have feedback forms because we want public input. And there's some flyers in the back of all the dates and locations throughout the county. And we invite you all to come. The next Coffee with Your Cop in District 3 will be on March 19th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the offices of Janice Overbeck Real Estate Team. This is a great opportunity to meet your local police officers and discuss any issues or concerns that you have in the community. And Officer Natalie Jegg is our community engagement officer for Precinct 4. And she and some of the other officers from Precinct 4 will be there as well. It's with great sadness that we offer our condolences to the family of Betty Siegel. She was the president of KSU for 20 years, and she really made that university what it is today. She was a great lady, a great leader, and just would like to extend our sympathy and condolences to her family. So that's all I have.
Commissioner Burrow. Commissioner Ott?
All right, Mr. Chairman, I just have two announcements. The first one is just a reminder about, I have to have short ones after following you. Town halls, kind of the final series of town halls. First one is on March 17th, and yes, it is St. Patrick's Day. So if you're coming, wear green. Also, that's at Chestnut Ridge Christian Church. April 21st is at East Cobb Library, and then May 12th will be in Smyrna City Hall. All of them start at 7 o'clock, and hope to see you there. Now, the next announcement is kind of a special one. This young lady in this picture turned 100 on Saturday. And I know that the chairman's wife, Judy, wishes she was not sitting here listening to us go on, because tonight, this young lady was celebrated at Indian Hills Country Club by her golf teammates. She still plays golf every week. So do not think you are old if you are in this room, because Joyce Carter will prove to you that you can continue on for many, many years and enjoy that time, especially playing golf. And I guarantee you she plays golf better than me. So happy birthday.
And Brad, if you could just throw up that, okay, these are the list of the town halls for those who are out there watching online tonight. I'm sorry, open houses, yeah. Obviously, I need to loosen my tie again, right, Commissioner Ott? I'll think about that. Anyway, just gives you the open houses, talk about it. And I have to say, I'm just really, really pleased by two things that I've seen tonight with the commissioners. First of all, they've taken a lot of time to present some graphics here, that make their presentation, that complement their presentations, and I really commend them for that. And the second thing is that every one of them is having town halls, in addition to the ones that I'll be conducting to discuss the budget, the open houses, discuss renewal of the budget, renewal of the SPLOST, the budget, and some Q&As. So I think that's just reflective that this is a really dynamic county right now. And I realize on this board, we have our differences, but that's what makes this board, I think, so effective, is that we have to respect the fact that when we come to these meetings every night, every 2 weeks, we have to come with our arguments prepared, because we know we're going to have, some reasoning on both sides that makes sense, have merit. So I really want to say that I'm glad I'm living in Cobb County. I'm glad that most nights I'm glad when I'm with this board. All right, I just want you to know there's some nights that my hair grows whiter faster than it should. But all in all, I think the openness and transparency we have here reflects that you can say what you want to here, that you will be heard respectfully, and that, in the end, if you're persistent, sometimes, your point of view will come around and people will support you on that. So with that, I just want everybody tonight to go home and savor that you live, if not the best county in America, certainly the best county in Georgia, because we have a terrific staff, and we have a board here that really cares about all of us and all of you, and that we do everything we can here to make your life a safe place where you can all work, live, play, and pursue your dreams. So with that, good night.
See, my hair just falls, the girls want.